I have Dallas actually in this series. And I think that if you would have asked me a few months ago, it would have been the opposite. If this were the matchup that we were kind of anticipating, I would have gone with the Clippers because, as we have spoken about on this pod, they looked fantastic between January and the All-Star break, a little bit after. I really believe that Kawhi's health and whatever that percentage is, what he looks like when he, is in the playoffs playing, I think that's going to be a huge situation for the Clippers. I also don't trust James Harden. This is the time of year I just trust James Harden the absolute least. Kawhi's not going to be 100% whenever he does come back and play. You need James Harden to pick up some of that slack. We've seen this story before in Philly.
PG's
you know
been
exactly
good.
how this plays out. PG can't do it by himself. We've seen him try to do it by himself. He needs the help. James Harden's going to have to be his guy, especially if Kawhi is not 100%. We saw how James Harden held it down for Joel Embiid in Philly. He is going to show us exactly who he is in the playoffs. I'm just waiting for it. My money's on Dallas.
I don't think Harden's right now. He
Which
hasn't looked
physically, mentally, emotionally. What's the problem?
He hasn't looked right. And even when he is right, Ashley is right that he is not right in the playoffs. But I'm going to be wrong. Look, the Mavericks are in an incredible moment in their season. They are playing great basketball. I know we've talked about it a lot. And if you can, obviously you guys know I'm not Kyrie's history as the best player or the second best player on teams that had real championship hopes.
Hey, watch the Kyrie slander on this podcast, Bill.
That we can
know how I feel about my guy. This ain't Doc Rivers. Don't do it.
Lack of success since he left Cleveland. But here's the thing. We saw this in Cleveland. I know that Kyrie's talented. If you surround him, he's one of these guys for me where, unlike Harden, where I don't think there is a perfect place, you put Kyrie in the perfect place, and obviously there's just massive talent there and it can work. I just think there's a lot of reasons it's hard to find that perfect spot. But maybe this is it. I mean, he and Luka look amazing together. The defense we've talked about has gotten incredibly impressive. And so there aren't that many doubts on the Dallas side for me, and it's nothing but doubts on the Clippers side. Kawhi is obviously, as John, as you said, is a huge question mark. And there is no doubt that James Harden, whatever his form, and it's not great right now, he's a question mark in the playoffs. That's a fair reality. And this is a Clippers team that just hasn't played well lately. I know PG has played well. So it feels like everything is turning up Mavericks. I'll just say this, and I'm with all of you on that. The playoffs are weird. It's a reset for some teams, and nobody needs a reset more than this Clippers team right now.
And yet the odds makers think coin flip, which is very interesting to me, because I would agree with everything that you guys just outlined. I mean, we're very high on the Mavericks on this podcast, especially because after they fixed their defense, they've been gangbusters. After inserting Daniel Gafford and Derek Jones into the starting lineup, they've been excellent. The Clippers are going the opposite way. You don't know if you're going to have Kawhi. Ashley is super down on James Harden for good reasons. I love PG. I think he's probably having the best season he's had in like 5 years, but again, he can't do it all by himself. But it does make me wonder when the odds makers look at all of that and go, toss up.
They have to
maybe
know
it's the home court. I don't know.
I feel like the toss-up is only there because of the names that are on the Clippers. You do have three ballers as individuals, so like you give them the benefit of the doubt that even when they're at a disadvantage, they're still at an advantage because of those guys. But I think it doesn't take into account they still have to play well together. And with Kawhi semi in and out, meaning don't know how healthy he will be. So you really have half of Kawhi. I'm just going to use that as kind of like the visual here. You put more pressure on James Harden. We know who James Harden is. I get putting stock in the names and the star power, but I don't know if I'm putting stock on the three of them as a unit, especially what we've seen in the last month and a half from them. They look bad.
I get what you're saying, and I would agree with almost any analysis, but Vegas doesn't care about names. They just care about outcomes. I think they have to know.
Vegas cares about names.
Vegas is
well, then why are you putting so much stock in the Clippers? What's the reason? What have they shown you in the last month and a half that you have all these here's what it is. Clippers?
Here's my best guess. Here's what it is. They must know Kawhi is playing. They always have inside information.
Of course he's playing.
You can't factor in, well, it's not an of course. I mean, it's not
if he's playing, it's how healthy will he be when he's playing. That's the
real question. If he's playing and how healthy. Obviously, they think it's going to be thumbs up on both of those accounts. Because I'm with you, John. Those odds are startling. And Vegas
it's something that we're going to keep an eye on this week. It's going to be very interesting.